Welcome to the OLV Daily Reflection for Monday, December 6th. Today, the Universal Church celebrates the feast day of St. Nicholas. He was born in the year 280, and he was the only child of rich parents. So when he was selected to become the Bishop of Myrna, which was a busy seaport in modern-day Turkey, he used his personal wealth to help and support those in need. Furthermore, his lifelong example of following Christ and his personal acts of holiness were so evident that the people he served immediately venerated him as a saint upon his death. And St. Nicholas is also honored among the saints in the Eastern and Western churches because of how universal his example of holiness was to both churches. And he still remains one of the most popular saints in the church. And as probably most of you also know, St. Nicholas is the one who inspired the establishment of the Santa Claus tradition here in the English-speaking world. But there probably is one big difference. Unlike Santa Claus, St. Nicholas seems to have been generous to all, whether they were naughty or nice. So that universal example of striving to help all in need, again, whether they are good or bad, makes St. Nicholas one of the most influential saints in all Christianity. He is the patron saint of children, but also is the patron saint of bakers, brides, grooms, pawnbrokers, and travelers. The first reading for today's daily Mass in honor of St. Nicholas comes to us from the 6th chapter of the book of the prophet Isaiah. It reads, "In the year King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord seated on a high and lofty throne, with the train of his garment filling the temple. Seraphim were stationed above. Each of them had 6 wings. With 2 they veiled their faces, with 2 they veiled their feet, and with 2 they hovered aloft. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts, they cried one to the other. All the earth is filled with his glory. At the sound of that cry, the frame of the door shook, and the house was filled with smoke. Then I said, Woe is me, I am doomed, for I am a man of unclean lips, living among a people of unclean lips. Yet my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Then one of the seraphim flew to me, holding an ember which he had taken with tongs from the altar. He touched my mouth with it and said, See, now that this has touched your lips, your wickedness is removed, your sin purged. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? Who will go for us? Here I am, I said, send me." This vision of the prophet Isaiah helps to explain his own calling to follow God's command that he become one of his prophets. And as we heard, Isaiah wanted to reject or avoid the call. And he gives the reason that he was a man of unclean lips, living among a people of unclean lips. But this reality does not cause God to revoke his call. Instead, we heard that God acted to make him worthy of the call. So this pattern that God has repeated throughout the history of the church holds true. No one is truly worthy of the call that God places on an individual's life. But the Lord, because of his love for us, but also because of his great mercy, makes us worthy of the call that he gives us. So he will give us the grace, strength, and courage to fulfill whatever he's asking of us. And the saints demonstrate this reality over and over again. Today we honor St. Nicholas and his great generous heart in giving so much to people. But again, every saint has their own story. No one was truly worthy of the call that God was placing on their hearts and minds. But the Lord enabled them through his grace to fulfill it and to do amazing things for the kingdom. So a reminder to all of us that we don't ever have to be worried about the worthiness of the call that God's placed on our lives. We know the answer. We are not worthy. None of us truly are the ones who do the great things that happen in our lives. All that happens, including the call that God places on our hearts and minds to serve Him and serve others, is always done through the Lord. So if we focus simply on doing His will and working every day of our life to serve Him, there is nothing to worry about. Because again, we would simply be focused on doing God's will. And that, brothers and sisters, will bring us hope, peace, and most importantly, a tremendous amount of love. St. Nicholas and Our Lady of Victory, pray for us.